Can we say that men with a higher libido will have more women? They will have more of a desire to spread their seed, spin plates, whereas men with less testosterone are more likely to be satisfied in a relationship. It's an interesting question. I don't know. But I don't think so. But I want to know what you think. Because one of the reasons I thought marrying my husband was a good idea was because he was sexually not that adventurous. Oh, don't get me wrong, he loved fucking. 3 times a week, for sure. He loved blowjobs, he loved fucking, and he was pretty good at the fucking. But he was emotionally repressed. So all the years it wasn't happening, he didn't say a word. It's called passive aggressive, losing your voice, not knowing how to speak up, a lack of fierce intimacy, which I made a video about earlier. But he definitely liked it a lot. Um, and that was a big mistake. I should have married a guy who loved sex because I learned after my divorce, and that's kind of in my book, that there are men who love sex, who are very good in bed, but they're also monogamous. Um, I personally think that the men who go around hooking up are emotionally wounded, traumatized, or I want to say avoidant, emotionally avoidant. Because deep down, a woman doesn't want to be used for sex. So the only women that are going around hooking up are traumatized women, typically, who were sexually abused, abandoned by their fathers, and those are the only women they can really hook up with. So a healthy man wants sex, but he will prefer it in a relationship. That is my opinion. I could be wrong. I don't know. Because there are also the cases of men who use sex in place of expressing their emotions. They funnel all their emotions through sex. And in that case, the therapy is to teach the partner who's always being asked for sex to be like, you know what? You know I love you so much. You know I find you so attractive. And I desire you so much. But right now, I'm not in the mood for sex. And for the first time in decades, that partner will go, oh, I'm good, instead of pushing for sex. Some men, if they've been cut off from their emotions, will funnel all of their emotional needs into sex when they want to feel connected, when they want to feel desired, when they want attention. Rather than having a conversation or a cuddle or something, they want sex every day or multiple times a day. Um, there are also men, I'm thinking of entrepreneurs in cars, whose first wife cheated on him, his girlfriend with the 2 sons cheated on him, and he decided, fuck women, I'm going to spin plates. And he's proud of that. And he goes for these younger women. And I have an opinion on that. Younger women that have not yet developed into knowing what they want, too young to say, I want children. There's a huge power imbalance. And spinning plates came from his woundedness because he was married and then he had a girlfriend with 2 boys and then she cheated on him. So he's like, fuck women, I'm going to spin plates. Women only care about what you bring to the table. They don't want to help you build. They'll greet you at the finish line. If you lose your money, they're gone. So I'm going to work the system. And that's from him being hurt. My guess is he was already hurt by his mother. I've never heard him talk about his mother, and I don't mean to pick on him. I'm just giving some examples of what I see. I think there are a lot of men raised by single moms who never had a good male role model. And I really think that these men that go around smashing are wounded. I do. Unless, they're in college and experimenting. Um, uh, but hey, you can disagree. I'm not saying, I do think that men look at other women, they feel turned on by other women, they feel attracted to other women, but a healthy man has command of his penis and his sexual energy. He can do no fap for a month or two because he has discipline. He doesn't have to fuck other women just because his wife is out of town. He doesn't need to use sex to soothe his anxiety or his boredom or to get attention or validation. And I think that he just behaves himself in a more proper, humane way. In my experience when I was an escort, there were 2 types of men who would see me. One, the very grandiose kind who are like, it's all about me, I don't give a shit, I just like to fuck a lot of women. And I think they're modeling what they saw growing up. And rest assured, no woman likes that. Or the kind that their wives are lost interest in sex for whatever reason and they really want that affection. In my experience, when I was hooking up, I was just hooking up with really young guys, and I think that those were, I think in hindsight, a lot of those men had bad relationships with their mothers. They were emotionally avoidant, and the older guys mostly they didn't want to date me. I'm going to be honest in that way. When I was younger, before I was married, most of the men I had sex with, the few that I did, they wanted to date me. I think that the rise, we didn't have that many single parent households as we do now. Back in the 70s and 80s, it was pretty rare for parents to be divorced. I mean, it did happen. And most of the men that I hooked up with, there were a few that just kind of ghosted me. In hindsight, those guys didn't had came from broken homes too. I'm going to make a theory here. I'm going to go out on a limb and make a theory here that men who spin plates are emotionally avoidant. I watched this lawyer on YouTube, Legal Mindset. He's in his mid 30s, 6'6", very charismatic man, and he talks about how he likes to smash. And I think he has intimacy issues. He's really good at his job. I don't, So that's what I really think. I have heard men say that they prefer to be in a relationship because, come on, there are so many perks of being in a relationship. You get a lot more sex, for one, and you get a lot of other perks, like a woman who cares about you, someone to do things with, someone to come home to, someone to share the cost of life with, to buy a house together with, to have children with. And like a friend, like a best friend. And for men who've never experienced that a woman could be a best friend, they see women as, I have some guys who leave comments on my channel. Oh, it's always about the women, what women want. I feel his hatred of women, his mistrust. Some men feel like a woman's just going to cheat on me, or I can't trust her. And I think that to the extent a man doesn't trust a woman and has been hurt by a woman, why would he want to be in a relationship with a woman? So that's my theory, and I'm going to stick with that. But hey, I'm interested in what you guys have to say. So in summary, my theory is that men who enjoy spinning plates and hooking up with a bunch of women are they that don't want a relationship, that would rather just have casual sex. They have issues with bonding with the woman that comes from their childhood, where they were traumatized, neglected, abused, abandoned. It could be a stepfather who molested them and mom didn't stick up for them. It could be mom said, "You're such a burden." It's that kind of stuff. That's what I'm going to say. A lack of a good male role model, not having awakened in their hearts any emotions. Because if you have feelings, how can you just use a woman for sex and leave her and think that's a great life? It's kind of psychotic. And even the author of the book made the Tucker, I think it was Tucker Max. He used to be a big player, but then he's like, I don't want that anymore. It's not a satisfying life. And he's married and has kids. So a lot of these players end up realizing what an empty life it is. Bill Burr talks about it. He was a big player. He thought he'd never get married. And now he's married and they have 2 kids. Dave Rubin, the Rubin Report, he's gay. He and his husband are having kids in September with these 2 surrogate moms. And he was telling in an interview, who was interviewing him? Lex Friedman. He said, no, Jordan Peterson. If you would have told me years ago that I would be married, I would have said you were crazy. And if you would have told me years ago I would be a father one day, I would have said you were crazy. So a lot of men mature. They realize that spinning plates is very dissatisfying, and they mature into wanting a relationship. And Dave Rubin seems very happy and very excited. He seems very in love with his husband and very excited about being a father. And if being single and spinning plates was that great, he'd still be doing it. He's a good-looking guy. He can get any dick he wants. I'm sure of it. So those are just some of my thoughts, but I want to know what you have to say.